I used to have clients when I was in the market. They were devout Muslims. They never actually loaned money with interest. I said, you're just trying to con God or Allah or whatever your deity is named. This is human nature. When you bear a cost, you want to be compensated for it. And as soon as you lend somebody money, you bear the opportunity cost. So you want compensation for that. I mean, my two-bit religious interpretation of that clause in Quran, it is the usury that is being illegal. That means charging people uh, obscenely high interest rates, the loan sharks, I mean, that sort of stuff. But that's their business. It's between them and their God. Now, given that, we kind of need to figure out how the value of money moves over time. So let's get some simple notation going. Using capital R, we're going to call this nominal rate of return. Nominal meaning without taking inflation into account. If that R is 5%, you lend me $1,000 today. 1 year from now, I need to pay you $50 extra. Okay, whether or not inflation is 0% or 10% doesn't matter. I'm just still gonna pay you 5. Even though you're not gonna use it today, we typically use small case r for real rate of return, and that would be rate of return. If it's a loan, we also call it interest rate, but generically speaking, in an investment, we refer to rate of return. For example, the tip rate of return real is 2.03 for 30 years, and the nominal rate of return is 4.11. Actually, from that, you could kind of figure out what is the market's expectation of average inflation over the next 30 years. I shouldn't even call that expectation, but it's the market clearing rate. So market's betting that inflation is going to be about 2.09 over the next 30 years. How about 5 years? It's actually a little bit less, about 196 or so. Thinking that this is 2% is Fed's target inflation rate. That's kind of uh, tells you it is about time interest rates are going to go down. Anyway, we're going to introduce a notation FVT. This is value of money at the end of period T. Okay. I use the word period on purpose. We do not always talk about value every year, sometimes every month. Okay, and we'll deal with that when the time comes. We have a special one, FV0, which is value of money now. But we also give it a special name. We call that present value and designate it with the abbreviation PV. Okay. Now, let's do a simple case. Let's say R is 10%. Present value is $1,000. And we want to know how much that money is going to be worth if it's invested for 1 period or 1 year whatever uh, your period is, let's say 1 year from now. Of course, FE1 is going to be the principal plus interest, right? Interest amount. Well, your principal is PV, and your interest amount is you're going to multiply the principal or the present value by the interest rate. If you simplify this expression, present value times 1 plus R. So in this case, it's going to be $1,000 plus, not plus, times 1 plus 10%. Well, 10% decimal expression is 0.10. So the whole thing is going to be 1100. In general, we could write the following. Wherever you are in time, the value of the money 1 year after that time or one period after that time. Sometimes I call it the equation of motion for value of money. That's how it moves. If you iterated this, starting with t equals 0, obviously FV1 equals PV times 1 plus R. FV2 is FV1 times 1 plus R. Use the expression from before. If you use the same deal, value at the end of period 3 is going to be PV times 1 plus R cubed, and so forth. So generic that's how you figure out if you invest $1,000 at a certain rate, how much would it be worth 10 years from now, 15 years from now? We actually have a name associated with this process. We call this compounding. Okay. From this, you could also figure out if I tell you that you're going to get $1,000 10 years from now, and the appropriate interest rate is 10%, what is that worth as of today? All you have to do is solve this equation for PV, which is not terribly complicated. This process is called discounting. Yes. I'm multiplying the principal with 1 plus R. So if you distributed that, that's principal plus principal times interest. Okay. I basically simplified this expression. Okay. You collected the PVs. Now, this equation, future value equals PV times 1 plus R to the power T.